Chapter 1, My husband, a pilot, called in for aerial assistance. Me, an air traffic controller, blasting music through my earbuds. Last time, when his plane malfunctioned, I walked him through every single diagnostic, coordinated everything like a damn pro. He and his passengers made it down safely, but when I, eyes red, ran to meet my husband at the gate, he had the nerve to rip into me. "Why'd you feed me bad instructions? You almost killed 200 souls," he screamed. Seeing the crowd turn ugly, his co-pilot and my supposed best friend jumped in to help. "Hey, let's not get too carried away here, guys," she said. "I saved everyone on that plane, and that unhinged mob trampled me to death." I snapped away, back to the day of their flight. Starlight 3213, you're cleared for takeoff. I sat in the tower, cold as ice, giving my husband, Hank, the go-ahead. His voice, raspy as hell, came through the radio. "No smooth skies today, baby?" he asked. Every damn time Hank took off, I'd give him the whole safe flight spiel, half prayer, half nagging. Now, I choked down the bile and hatred. "Smooth skies, Hank," I forced out. As an air traffic controller at Cityville Airport, my job is dead simple. Bring those birds in safe, get those folks home. Last time, Hank barely got off the ground before he called in a mayday. My heart leaped into my throat. I helped him troubleshoot, watched the weather like a hawk, and kept the airspace clear. He turned back, landed that plane in one piece, 200 plus people safe and sound. I, red-eyed mess, ran to the arrival gate to greet him, and there was Hank and Susie Sunshine, practically being carried on the shoulders of grateful passengers. Thank God for Captain Hank and First Officer Susie. Without their cool heads and skills, we'd all be toast, they said. Seeing my husband and so-called best friend soaking up the praise should have made me proud, but as I went over to him, Hank flinched away from my hug and slapped me so hard my ears rang. "Weather was dodgy, and you didn't give us real-time updates?" "Fine," Hank spat, dabbing a finger in my face. "But why the hell did you feed me wrong instructions? Do you have any idea that you almost wiped out our entire flight?" Hearing him lay out my crimes in front of everyone, I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. "Hank, what are you talking about?" I asked, barely a whisper. "I did my job in that tower. I did everything right. You only made it back because of my emergency assistance." Susie, Miss Do-Gooder, cut me off, all teary-eyed. "Rain, honey, I know your family's going bankrupt, but you can't off your own husband for the insurance money, especially not with all those innocent people on board." Those words dropped like a bomb. The same passengers who had been singing his and Susie's praises and depending on them for life were now on Hank and Susie's side. They didn't want to hear a word I had to say. "Although an eye for an eye doesn't make the world blind, we can't let this go unpunished," Susie said, pouring gasoline on the fire. Hank stood there, silent, watching as those people tore at me. They beat their savior to death. I snapped back to reality, my body shaking. Hank's plane, just like before, had a problem 15 minutes after takeoff. Cityville, Starlight 3213, instrument panel warning lights all over the place," he said. His voice was laced with panic. I pulled off my headset, slapped on my earbuds, and cranked up the music. 40 minutes later, on the radar, I watched Starlight 3213, just like last time, turn back and land safely on the Cityville runway. This time, I went straight to the tarmac to meet him. Hank saw me, turned into a raging bull, and stormed over. "Rain, what the hell is your job as an air traffic controller?" I said slowly, evenly. "Respect life and duty. Bring every flight home. And why the hell did you lie about the weather and give me crap landing instructions?" Hank grabbed my wrist and shoved me hard to the ground. He turned to his crew and passengers and pointed at me. "She lied about the weather, caused the malfunction. Then she gave me the wrong instructions, and I had to risk everyone's lives to retake off." The passengers, initially grateful, were now rabid. "Don't they make you pass a test for that job? How could she screw up so badly?" one of them asked. "She probably got the job because of who she knows, not what she knows." "This happens too often these days," said another. "We need to file a complaint with the airport management and get rid of this menace to society," said someone from the back. I looked at the angry faces and locked eyes with Hank. "With 6 years of experience, I don't make those kinds of mistakes. And you're my husband. I'd do anything to keep you safe." The passengers looked at each other as I said that. Susie piped out, "Rain, we've been best friends since college, but I can't protect you in this situation. You have to be held accountable. We have families and loved ones waiting for us at home," someone shouted. "My husband has a huge life insurance policy, so she wanted to kill him," Susie said. "If Hank wasn't so experienced and we didn't work together so well, we'd all be dead." The crowd turned silent, then they erupted. "Monster, you're a murderer." I backed up, trying to get away from the mob. Hank and Susie grinned at each other, waiting for the show. Just then, the fire trucks, ambulances, and police cars arrived. The crowd froze. "The cops, they're here." A woman ran to an officer and pointed at me. "She tried to kill us. Arrest her immediately." I laughed, a little hysterically, looking at Hank and Susie's horrified faces. "What's so funny?" the officer asked. "They say you tried to kill them. What do you have to say for yourself?" I regained my composure. "Officer, words are just words. You need evidence." The officer wrote as the woman explained the situation. Then, he turned to Hank. "When did she lie about the weather?" Hank stammered. "Last night, at home. I asked her about the forecast, and she said it was going to be clear." He thought I couldn't prove him wrong. The officer raised an eyebrow. "You can delay or cancel flights for bad weather, and it was just light rain, not even a thunderstorm." Hank panicked. "There are a lot of factors that can lead to a plane malfunction. The rain was just one of them. Then, I had to do an emergency landing, and Rain told me to divert. I wasn't going to protect him this time. He refused to listen to the tower," I said. "He wanted to make a blind landing in the rain." Susie jumped in. "I was the co-pilot. Rain gave us bad instructions, and we couldn't find the landing spot. We almost crashed into another plane." The passengers agreed. It was terrifying. We were almost thrown out of our seats. I seemed to be doomed. Then, the airport CEO and a group of executives arrived. "We'll get to the bottom of this," the CEO said. Hank and Susie had only wanted to ruin my reputation and did not expect this commotion. They looked pale. Hank said to the CEO, "The tower gave me bad instructions." Susie said, "I can vouch for him. Rain did this." They didn't notice the CEO's disgusted expression. The CEO was accompanied accompanied by his daughter, Ronnie, who worked with me in the tower. I had called her in today and given her control of the flight after takeoff. Hank hadn't noticed that he was talking to a different person and was about to put the blame on Ronnie. Hank said, "This incompetent controller needs to be fired." "He's right. Captain Hank should be rewarded for his heroism," Susie added.